Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do a ranking video, which I'm sure people are like, God, when's this guy gonna stop ranking things? I don't know. I just was in the mood to do these videos for some reason, like out of nowhere. I thought, you know what? This topic would actually be really fun to do, and it would be something that, once I do it, it would probably be the last time I'd have to do this type of video. Like if I did a top favorite and least favorite movies, at least for a while. So, and I thought that maybe it would be interesting for both videos. So what I did was I ranked the top 10 actors and actresses who have passed away who I would want to work with, aka direct and or write a film with them in it. And then I did the same thing for actors and actresses who are still alive, and then I mishmashed them together, and then I thought, okay, I'll do one video one day and the next video the next day. So, these are the actors and actresses who have passed away. And I have 20. So number 20 is Marilyn Burns from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, if you read up about the making of this movie, making movies is a lot harder than people think. And it's a big process. It's not just you point a camera and shoot. There was this one time where we had this stupid career center convention thing or talk happening in my school years ago, and there were these guys on stage and they would talk to you about their stupid courses that they had at their hillbilly school. And one of these guys was like, when you make a film, all you have to do is point a camera and shoot, and there's really not anything to it. But when you do carpentry, it's a lot more complicated, and it's like, yeah, fuck off. Like what a fucking retard. Okay, I mean, that's what you call classic Ohio hillbilly fuckface. And of course, I've never heard of him, so that was pretty weird. Like, he was trying to get me to go to the career center and join carpentry. It's a I think it's fun to do projects at home, to do like carpentry stuff. Well, of course, now we'd have to spend thousands of dollars to buy new tools, so I wouldn't be able to do that anytime soon. So but back when we were able to do that, that would have been a pretty fun thing to do. But the point is that making movies is a hard process. It's not easy like they make it seem. There are easy elements to it if you're smart and if you're just doing everything right, and you're not making it complicated more than it needs to be. And part of the reason that Texas Chainsaw Massacre got made is all because of this actress. And she was persuading actors to be in the film. She did things that, no actress would want to do today. Like where she jumps out the window for real. And she apparently, all that blood and the cuts were pretty real. So, she did a lot of stuff in the movie that no actor would do today. And she just proved that, she would go above and beyond to make a good movie. And when you make a movie at this level, at my level at least, you want actors who go above and beyond. You don't just want the actors who think that they're something, even though nobody's ever heard of them except for a couple of people who saw them in a movie for 10 seconds on Tubi. There are actors like that, by the way. Like, I'm not kidding. They think that they're like A-list celebrities because they were in a movie for 10 seconds on Tubi. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty embarrassing. And Marilyn Burns, she did an amazing job in this movie to make a comparison to her performance, it's a lot like with The Shining, where a lot of people said all Shelley Duvall did that whole movie was scream. And it's like, no, she was doing a great job. She was acting. She was truly horrified. And it's the same thing with this woman, where she did an amazing job with this character. Like when people say, I don't remember the characters from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, I do. I remember Sally, and she was fucking awesome. She's way better than Laurie Strode. She's way better than all the other final girls. Sydney, who's now not even in the franchise anymore. She was a great final girl in that one movie. The only issue, and the reason why I put her at number 20, is because I don't really know how much of a range she has in terms of, would I have to just put her in a horror movie? I've only seen this one movie of hers, so I can't really say like, oh, I could put her in anything. I guess it would just have to be another horror movie, which is fine. Number 19 is Lon Chaney. Now, obviously, this person needs no introduction. He was a great silent film actor with a strong leaning towards horror films. But one of the issues is that most of his films are lost. And so, a lot of his career will never even be seen by the public. And I feel like even just to get him seen in one last movie, it'd be a great thing. Like if you could bring him back to life and just put him in one last movie, that'd be really cool. And another thing is that people really never got to hear his voice very much at all. There was these couple of clips from this one movie where I think you could hear his voice. I can't remember for sure. Other than that, he pretty much, I think he died around when the silent movies were stopped being made. I don't know. I don't want to pretend like I know the history of him or any of this era, but he would definitely be an actor that you want to have in a film, whether it's silent or sound. And so I'm saying, if he couldn't do a sound picture, which I think that he could, I don't really think he'd have any trouble, then I would just, go, what? I'll make a silent movie. Just because he's limited to the silent genre, just like Marilyn might be limited to the horror genre, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to still use them if I like their acting. Number 18, speaking of limited, is Bela Lugosi. Now, I just feel like he got really outshadowed by Boris Karloff, even though I kind of think that Bela is slightly better of an actor, a little bit. I think that he's a lot scarier. Boris Karloff is really good, but he's never really scared me in anything that he's done. Bela Lugosi is the only one out of the two who's kind of scared me at certain points of his films. So what I would want to do is I would want to have him in something different, where it's like a true crime movie and he could play like a serial killer. And the person who that worked really well for was Peter Lorre. And, he did that movie M, and he's a fantastic, perfect actor. In fact, I considered putting him on this list. And that's the movie that people most know him for, is that one movie where he gave like an award-worthy performance of this serial killer, child molester, crazy person. And I feel like if you let Bela Lugosi play a character like that, who had no redeeming qualities, he's just completely lost, he's evil, but at the same time he does have a character, and he could be in like a true crime thing, I feel like it could be really good. Because, I mean, when you have Bela Lugosi, when you look at him, it's like he had this little era where he did movies like Black Cat, Raven, Dracula, and then after that, Hollywood just kind of wrote him off, and then he died after he did a bunch of terrible Ed Wood movies. And I just wish that, like, he could have gotten one last good movie, like just one last good one, and not the Ed Wood era. Number 17 is Marie Blanchard from She-Devil. You know, this one will be pretty short because I haven't seen basically any of her films except for She-Devil. I was really amazed by how good she did, regardless of how crappy the movie was. It was very goofy and corny, and I gotta be honest, like, she reminded me of Marilyn Monroe, and the way that she acted, and I thought that she was a really, really good actress in that movie, and that she showed that she has range, and that she's able to do a lot of different things. And even though you have this goofy premise of she can change her hair color, so that means she's a she-devil, you know, she's still committed to that character. And so what I would want to do with her, it's tough to say. It's still tough to say because obviously I haven't seen any of her other films. I don't know. She's one of the few question marks on this list. Like, I know with Bella, I would want to do the true crime. With Lon Chaney, I want him to do like a silent or a sound, whatever. You know, he could probably do any genre. And then Marilyn Burns horror. But Marie is one of the few people on the list who, you know, I can't really say exactly what the project would be, but she definitely, I know that she could do a good job in anything that she did. Sorry. Number 16 is Tallulah Bankhead. Now, this is a fantastic actress. I think that she's pretty underrated in terms of the grand scheme of things. And in Lifeboat, she was incredible. She was clearly the star of the film. And in fact, I haven't done a video ranking the women of Hitchcock movies, which I will be doing as soon as I finish seeing all of them. Spoiler alert. But I think she might be number one. I mean, she really is that good. And remember White Foxes, the movie with Bette Davis that I reviewed last year? Very boring, uneventful, bland movie. Well, Tallulah played her in the play, and to me, I thought, wow, I would love to have seen her in is it the White Foxes or the Little Foxes? The Little Foxes. And she did like a radio show where they recorded the whole thing, and I cannot find it anywhere, which is really unfortunate because I wanted to hear her. And so what I would do with Tallulah is I would want to do a remake of the Little Foxes, but put her in the movie. And the reason why she was not in the movie was I can't remember. It was either because of scheduling, or it was because she played the role too sympathetic, and she added extra dimensions to the character. And Willie Wiley Willard, whatever the fuck, the Willer Wiley director guy, he just wanted bad woman. He just wanted a, you know, typical cliche evil rich woman played by Bette Davis, and you know, he didn't want that extra dimension of any type of sympathy. You know, he just wanted cold sociopath. So it's really unfortunate. I would love to see, that would be like a dream to see that movie, but with her. Like, that's the only way I would ever watch The Little Foxes again, is if Tallulah came back from the grave just to do that movie. Number 15 is Andrea Leeds. Obviously, I saw her in Stage Door, and This movie was so funny because it was like an elevating point for Katharine Hepburn, I guess. And speaking of other actors who I wanted to put on this list, I definitely would have put Lucille Ball on the list. So that would have been another one. But she didn't make it, so that's sad. In fact, I should have put her on the list. But anyways, it's funny that this movie was supposed to be so elevating for Katharine Hepburn. I really don't like Katharine Hepburn. I think she's really overrated. She's like the typical modern movie actress with the way that she is. Andrea, though, this tiny character who ends up being almost like the center point of the movie by the end, the emotional center point. She does such a better job, and she is so much better. She's a lot prettier, which I know shouldn't matter, but it's true. I mean, just in terms of what I would look for in like a star, like Andrea Leeds is up there with Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, all the best. So I would want to put her in like an epic movie, like an epic fucking, Gone with the Wind type of movie where she really gets to do something to get an award or something. I don't know. That's what I would want to do with her because I never hear people talk about her. I mean, nobody ever mentions her. And to me, after this movie, Stage Door, I want to watch all of her other ones. Like that. That's how much I liked her acting in this movie. You really felt bad for her, and it was so convincing, her performance, that it was hard to watch because it's so resonating with people who do this type of work, with the rejection that they get and the obstacles that they face. And she really did a great job. And it's too bad that nobody even cares about her career. Number 14 is Junior Durkin, who is, of course, the star of Hell House. And as I said before, he's basically Tom Holland, but good. I mean, if he had survived that car crash, which what happened was him and I think his family and then the other kid, who was his friend, and then I think one of their sisters or something, they got in a horrible car crash after they went on a hunting trip or something, and only his friend survived. And it's really unfortunate that Junior did not, because he had such a great career ahead of him, and he was very young. I mean, he was like almost my age or around my age, maybe even younger, and he was already an extremely good actor. I mean, in Hell House, he was really good to the point of where that movie lasted in the top 10 until the end of the year, watching 86 films. So that shows how good he was. And honestly, I would want to put him in anything and everything. I think he would have been one of the top actors in Hollywood history if he hadn't died that young. So, number 13 is Darwin Jostin from Assault on Precinct 13. 13 and 13, that's funny. So after seeing Assault on Precinct 13, the first thing I thought was, what did Napoleon do after this movie? Because I thought, maybe I'll do a week around this actor. I mean, he was that good. He was so likable. He had so many layers to his character, even though he was just sort of like a complicated criminal who, he was on his way to getting or being put in another prison because he is on death row for something. He killed some guys, but it's really not explained. But he brought so much more to the role than what was in the script. And he really is one of the best characters in film history. And it's so sad that, like, nobody appreciated him and nobody put him in anything after this movie. Like, it seems like his career just completely plummeted, even though he was clearly the star of this movie. And this movie was a masterpiece. I mean, it was a gritty, great masterpiece. So, I would want to put him... I really don't know. I would probably put him in like a zombie... No, not a zombie movie. I don't know. I would want to see him in a mafia movie. I would want to see a Goodfellas type of movie starring him. I would really like to see what he would bring to a mafia movie, for sure, because that's another genre where you just see these very stale, generic characters. You see the fat guy who eats a lot. You see the enforcer guy who beats people up. You see all the same stereotypes all the way in 2020. When you have Fargo season 4, which was a giant piece of shit. That whole season just had a ton of stereotypes. And so I would want to have him star in like a mafia movie. Number 12 is Sidney Fox from Bad Sister. This was another one where the movie was supposed to be a Bette Davis movie, where I guess this was her first movie and it launched her career. And I gotta be honest, like, she had one good scene, but other than that, she was really not very good. She looked good, but that's about it. The good actress in this movie was Sidney Fox, who was the star. And she was very, very good. And I really think that she deserved, like, a project that would cement her as a Hollywood legend, because she's another actress who I don't hear anyone talk about. And for some reason, I'm drawn to people and things that aren't talked about very much, because I like to give or to uplift people and things who need it. And so, like, in terms of actors, she would be at the top of the list because she's very good, and she is definitely a leading lady material. So what I would want to do is I would want to put her in like a romantic comedy movie, like Marty, and I would just want to have it be like a really good romantic comedy, like not like other romantic comedies, but a really good romantic comedy. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it would make sense if you saw it. I just think that you could do a ton of great things. It's just hard to come up with like random like romantic comedy stories, but you guys could come up with something. Okay, here's a story. So you have this woman. She owns a bakery. And she makes a lot of cakes. Just like in Bad Sister, she makes a cake at the end, and her new fat husband, he licks her finger. He licks her spoon with the chocolate cake drizzling off of the spoon. So she runs this bakery. It's the middle of World War II, and the Nazis fight the bakery. And then there's this guy... And he fights off all the Nazis, and he saves her and the bakery. And he says, "Hey, what do I get in return?" And she's like, You aren't asking me to be your girlfriend, are you?" And he's like, "No, I want a fucking... Okay, first I want a red velvet cake, and then I want a chocolate cake, and then I want a carrot cake. No, nobody likes carrot cake. I want German chocolate cake too, bitch." And she's like, "Okay, that's good. Oh, wow. You didn't take advantage of me like all the other guys in the world. So I will actually be your girlfriend as well." Okay. That sounds good. And I'll take some ice cream with that. Okay, with your cake or with me? And you can just imagine where it goes on from there. It's just, it will win all the awards. You'd have all sorts of talk about, wow, that's the greatest movie ever made. So much better than Titanic, which, fuck Titanic. Nobody wants to watch that. Number 11 is Vincent Price. Vincent Price is one of those actors where pretty much any movie he's in, he elevates because he's just so good. I don't really know if he has much of a range. He pretty much is just creepy, evil guy. Pretty much. I mean, he was a really good sympathetic character in The Whales of August, which that was a very sad that was his last role since he got kicked to the side of the road in that movie. And so I would want to, I don't know, like I would want to put him, it's tough to say with him too because he's done a lot. Like he did all those Edgar Allan Poe movies. He probably did a movie where he was a vampire. Of course, he did House on a Haunted Hill, The Fly. I would probably have him be in the movie that I'm working on right now. I would probably have him be the father character just because I think he would probably fit perfectly in the movie. Or he could be like one of the other people. I can't say because it'd be a spoiler. But yeah, that's probably what I'd put him in. So it's too bad that I can't because he's just so good. Like when I thought about this list, he was immediately one of the first people who came to mind because he's just that good. Like every movie he's in might not be great, but you know that he'll be great in them. And he's a great cook too. And so you know what you can do is you can have him cook food for the actors when he's done filming his role. So that'd be pretty cool. Number 10 is Jennifer Jones. This is one of the greatest actresses ever in history. And what I would want is I would want to stop her from being associated with that creepy fatso producer who groomed her and then destroyed her marriage. And then I probably put her in something good, not Duel in the Sun. I think that she's really good at playing like one level of character, and so I would want to put her in something that would challenge her to see if she could go to another level. So maybe instead of like a romantic role, I would put her in as a villain of something. Like maybe, when I was talking about the Devil's Wedding Night movie needs to be remade. The main villain of that movie is this evil countess. She's like a Dracula countess woman. She's a ghoul woman. I would want to have Jennifer Jones play a vampire leading villainous character. I think that she could pull it off for sure. Or just pretty much anything, because she really is good in anything that she does for the most part, from what I've seen. I mean, in Duel in the Sun, it really wasn't her fault. Like, if you had edited the script around, and if it made sense, then, I could definitely see her performance not being looked at as laugh out loud worthy. Like, she has so many moments in that movie where she ping-pongs back and forth, of course, because that creepy fatso producer was writing the script and using it as a way to groom her, and so he was changing the script around left and right. And if you had a script that made sense and still uplifted her, I feel like it would have been much more positive, because she's one of those ones who just faded into obscurity, and I really don't hear people talking about her. But I mean, she might be like the top 3 actresses, even though her name is very generic. I mean, what was her original name? Because that's just her Hollywood name. Jennifer Jones. I mean, what a generic fucking name. I mean, who the hell would pick that name? Oh, well, ugh. Okay, well, the name that she was born with was definitely worse. The name that she was born with was Phyllis Lee Isley, and I'm sorry, but that's one of the worst names I've ever heard. So, like, yes, Jennifer Jones was an improvement on Phyllis Lee Isley. I mean, that sounds like the name of a really obscure divorce lawyer in, like, New Mexico or something. Like, it doesn't sound like a Hollywood star's name. Number 9 is Brad Renfro, and now this is the main person from Bully, and also in the movie that I watched. What was that movie called? Telling Lies in America. Very weird title, that movie. And then The Client. He was the little kid in The Client. And this is another actor who died very young, and I just feel like he was underrated. Like, everything that he was in, he did a fantastic job. He was way more than just a kid actor. He was on another level of great acting. And I understand why people underrated him, because the first time I saw him in Bully, I thought, ugh, what a one-dimensional, boring, early 2000s acting performance. But then I rewatched it and I was like, wow, he really brought so many other levels to this character, even though probably most of the time filming he wasn't there, mentally. Unfortunately, he did a really good job, and he's just somebody that you want to see star in all the movies. And so I think I'm trying to think, like, if I put him in a movie, I want to put him where he's like a hero, like masculine 1980s, 1970s figure. I would want him to be like the star of a movie like, Top Gun Maverick, because he really deserved that type of uplifting into Hollywood, instead of just being treated like trash, like underrated trash, like people treated him. And he really deserved a lot better, because he is one of the best actors I've ever seen. And so it's really a shame. And number 8 is Bruce Lee. And now just for the name alone, just for how legendary he is alone, I would want to put him in a movie, because you know what I would want to do? I would want to put him in the most anti-role, because all the movies that he did, for the most part, they were all one way. And I've never seen a movie of his ever. I started watching one of them, but I turned it off because it got to be too much. And but I read about him in real life, and I think that he really is one of the better actors who's ever been in Hollywood. And I think that he definitely, I think he had a solid film career from what people say, but I just would really be curious to see him in a role where it's completely antithetical to all the other movies. Like, how comedians, they do a dramatic movie, like Steve Carell, he did Foxcatcher, something like that. I would want to do the same thing, but with Bruce Lee. And so maybe like a movie where he's a teacher and or something. I don't know. Just come up with something random, like, hey, a movie where he's a teacher. I don't know. It's hard, as I said, it's hard to come up with ideas on the spot. I just know that, I don't know, I like it when actors don't do the same thing over and over. I like it when they get challenged. And of course, he was also somebody who died young, and his family had like a curse, because then his son died as well, unfortunately. So I would want to put him in a movie for sure. Number 7 is Don Knotts, and now really, I would want to put anybody from the Andy Griffith Show in something that I made. I just decided Don Knotts because he really was the star of the Andy Griffith Show. He never really got to the point, though, Don Knotts. He never got to the point where he could really lead something himself. Like, if you watch his terrible movies that he made, like, Ghost of Mr. Chicken is a good movie, but it's not a great movie. But then you have all of his other terrible movies, like the fucking the Dentist in the West one, and the Mr. Something Goes to Space. All those terrible movies. Is it just Don Knotts Goes to Space? Like, ugh, God. Like, he gave up the Andy Griffith Show just to do these terrible movies. And I remembered as a kid, I was so disappointed, because I was like, wow, he did movies? I want to watch all of his movies. I want to buy all of his movies, just because he was so good on the Andy Griffith Show. And I've seen the Andy Griffith Show like 100+ times. Like, that's how much I like that series. Well, his movies are terrible, and I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, ugh. So I would honestly want to take all those movies that he made, throw them in the trash, and then rewrite them from scratch. And I'll rewrite all of them, and then make sure that they're good, or at least okay, because I feel so bad that, like, this was back when you had the contract system, which I think that that's a better system, honestly, because agents have gotten out of control, and everything that they do is terrible anyway. So it's just sad, though, that, like, he couldn't have still been on the Andy Griffith Show, because you could see that he regretted, and they even talked about it in a book that I read, that he regretted not continuing to do that show, and that, you know, it's like, it's really unfortunate that he quit an iconic character, an iconic show, so that he could do terrible, I mean, some of the worst movies I've ever seen, these awful, unfunny, just complete dud movies like Don Knotts Goes to Space, just ugh. I mean, like, what jokes are even in that movie? Like, just nothing. Like, oh, he makes a funny face as he goes into space. Oh, wow, that's really funny. Like, just, ugh. What a fucking disgrace. So I would want to, once again, just rewrite all the movies that he was put in and make them into good scripts. Number 6 is Ozzy Oswalda. And she was in a movie that I just watched this year. And it was a 1919 movie, I think, called... What was the name? Was it just The Doll? I'm trying... Oh, shit. I'm on my other account. I'm on Safi's account because she had to do her rankings. I was like, Safi, you are not going to wait until the end of the year. You are going to be updating your rankings at the end of every month. So that way you don't have to do it all at the last minute. Okay, it's The Doll. And basically in this movie, she plays this woman who is the daughter of this guy who makes sex dolls. And they are dolls that will be housewives, and they'll cook and they'll clean and they'll dance with you and they'll have sex with you, and they're robots. And it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's so good. It's short, but it's really, really good. It's really, really creative. And she plays the daughter of this sex doll person. And what happens is that the son of the nephew or something of the sex doll guy, he breaks the sex doll before it is sold to the main character, and the daughter has to replace the doll and pretend that she is a robot for the rest of the movie. And I gotta be honest, like, the performance that she gave is probably, it might be the best performance by an actress I've ever seen. And I'm not joking. I was, like, legitimately, like, impressed of, like, wow, this is top tier acting. This is acting that you never would be able to see nowadays. So, because you never have anyone who'd be capable nowadays of doing what she did in this movie. And she is another one who faded into obscurity because of the sound era coming in. So what I would want to do is I would want to train her behind the scenes for 10 years, and then I would want to put her in a movie and make it so good that she win awards. And so that's what I would want to do. It would be like an awards bait movie, which I don't care. I mean, she deserves it just for this one movie. And so there you go. Number 5 is Sidney Poitier. You know, what's really funny about this guy, he is exactly like Vincent Price, where, you know, his movies might be trash. I mean, let's just face it, like, To Sir With Love is like, okay, but it has a lot of issues. I mean, I could go on and on about the issues of pretty much any movie, but for some reason, like, you have these really, really popular actors, and they'll be in these movies that are just, like, what were people thinking calling this movie a classic movie? And not that it's a bad movie, it's just, it's like, really? Is this a masterpiece, or is this just okay? But the thing is that in every movie that Sidney is in, he's fucking epic. I mean, he just looks at somebody, and you're just thinking, wow, I wonder what he's thinking about. Like, he is just so good, and he is so underrated, really, because a lot of people haven't seen his films. They just say, oh, well, he's that one guy who did a lot for African American actors. Like, that's all people say about him. They don't really say specifically, like, he was really great in that, he was really great in that. And he really is good. And I don't even need to say what specifically I would put him in, because he is so good that no matter what I would put him in, he would do incredible. Guaranteed. Even if it was a terrible movie. Like, let's put Sidney Poitier in Twilight. He will do a good job in Twilight. And if you fight me on that, you don't know what you're talking about. Just saying. You never doubt. There's a couple actors that you never doubt. And one of them is Sidney Poitier. And number 4 is Brittany Murphy. She's another actress who died young and didn't get to fully have a career. And honestly, she's extremely underrated. And she's one of those ones that wasn't really taken as seriously. And I feel like it's a huge shame, because she was definitely a lot more talented than the actresses who are around nowadays, who people call really, really good. Like, I don't want to say any names, of course, because this isn't the worst actresses video. This is just this is a positive video. And she is just really good. And for some reason, I'm really drawn to her. And I think that actors like that you're drawn to, I think that they are worth putting in things over ones who are just like, yeah, whatever. Like, oh wow, there's that another movie with fucking John Voight or someone like that. Like, just, people like him, you're not drawn to them, but you're drawn to people like her. And so what happened was, I saw this video of her on YouTube where she was walking around Blockbuster, and I just thought, like, wow, she really seems like somebody who you want to work with. Like, she seems so positive, and she seems so much like a real professional and somebody who actually loves movies of all types. And it was like, you know what, I want to put her in anything. I don't care. Anything. She could do anything. Well, she could have done anything, unfortunately. Number 3, this is going to be surprising that these guys are this high. Abbott and Costello. This is probably the only one on the list where it's more, what would you call it? Like, just oriented around me achieving a dream rather than making a movie with them. Because just to be on a set with Abbott and Costello would be like one of the greatest gifts. And I think to put them in a movie together, it would really be special. They really are some of the best actors in history. They work so well together. You had Bud Abbott. He was 50% good at playing a straight man. And then you had Lou Costello, and he was 50% good at playing a funny fat man. And when you put those two together, you have an 100% great actor, or a great acting duo performance. And you just don't put one in a movie, you put both of them in a movie. And I would want them to be in a season of Fargo. I would want to see like a season of Fargo where it turns back around. It's no longer the shitty show that it was in season 4. And I would want to see what they would do in a season of Fargo. I think that they would do a really good job. I would really love to see them do like a more adult, darker thing. Because even in their comedy movies, they had a lot of adult jokes. They had a lot of adult themes. But they never really went full adult. And so I would love to see them in something dark where, they could still make things funny and dark at the same time, because they were so good. Like, I could watch any one of their movies, even if I hate them, I'll still watch them just to see Abbott and Costello, honestly. And number 2 is Audrey Hepburn. This is one where it's hard for me to imagine exactly what movie or role I would put her in. She's always been a favorite of mine, even though I haven't seen now more than one of her films. But she's so good, and she's so iconic. And it just feels like, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of people are like me, where they haven't even seen her films, but they just like her. And so I would really like to put her in a movie where she would stand out. And, like, you have the movies that she made, it's like, yeah, they're pretty good. Like My Fair Lady, yeah, that's pretty good. But I just want, like, something where she stands out, where, I don't know, something different, too, because most of the movies she made seem pretty much the same, or they seem pretty similar in terms of tone and in terms of character. And so I would want to put her in something different, like, like a Tarantino type of movie, like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood type of movie or something like that. And speaking of once upon a time in Hollywood, number one would obviously be Sharon, and of course, I've been studying her filmography, and the thing is that this is probably the best themed month that I've ever done for an actor or actress. You know, her film career is solid because she is solid. And I think that she was underrated in terms of she was another actress who was not taken seriously. And of course, if you watch her movies, she was just looked at as a human sacrifice. She was not looked at as an actress. And so I would put her in every movie that I would make. I would purposefully write all the films to star her, and I would put her in all of them and all the starring roles because she really is that good. She knows how to play all the different dimensions. She knows how to play a dark character. She knows how to play evil. She knows how to play good. She knows what to do, and she respects good writing, and she is a professional. And I think that out of all the actors who have passed away, she was immediately, when I made up the list and wrote it up, I immediately put her at number one because she is obviously the best one in terms of talent too. I really think that once again, underrated. And it's funny because a lot of actresses are afraid of having like a sexy character, like a Marilyn Monroe type of character, or filmography catalog where they're just like, you know, like Marilyn Monroe every movie. But the thing is that a lot of the times you see that it's, number one, a lot more competitive to do roles and to do a movie career where you are a dramatic, serious actress and you're doing quote-unquote serious roles. Like let's see, like Meryl Streep, Angelina Jolie. Just pick a fucking overrated actress out of a fucking hat. Jennifer Lawrence, fucking Margot Robbie. Like, you know, you just think about all these actresses who do the same old things. They do these same old serious roles where they're these serious characters. And it's sort of to the point of where you think, like, are they always happy playing these fake people? Like, do they never ever want to add any other dimension to their characters? Do they ever want to do anything more than just play that fucking boring ass character in that one movie that Disney made? Like, do they ever want to do something more and something bigger than that? Because Sharon did. And she did in all of her films. And the thing is, too, is that she had a raw sexuality to her. A natural, organic sexuality that I think that no actress really has nowadays, which, of course, they wouldn't be able to because the intimacy coordinator wouldn't let them, because you know, oh no, you can't do anything natural in a movie. And I think that there's just something so special about actresses who, you know, they aren't afraid to show their sexuality. They aren't afraid to do raw human emotion. They aren't afraid to extend past the boundaries that you think should be in place in movies. And I think that with all her films, she demonstrates that she's able to push the boundary. And still at the same time, I mean, she's great in everything I've seen her in. And of course, I've barely seen anything so far. And I can't wait to continue watching things of hers, and I will continue to shower her with the praise and attention that she deserves. And I think that if I had to choose one movie, I'd probably put her as the star of this first one that I am doing, because she would probably fit the character the most, all things considered. And I think that, I don't know, I just, there are certain actors and you can just say that, like, they were not appreciated, and it's too bad that they had to die and that they did not get to live to their fullest potential with the gift that they were given. And she would be number one in that category. So anyways, please like this video, comment, and tell me which one of these actors or which other dead actor would you want to see in a film of mine. And then please subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more honest videos like this. And tomorrow I will be talking about the top 20 alive actors who I would want to put in a movie of mine, and maybe talk a little bit about what I would want to do with them, besides, I don't know, shake their hand. I don't know. I don't really want to shake anyone's hand anymore. Not because of the germs, just because, I think about, God, there's so many people, they don't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. It makes me want to throw up. It just makes me want to jump off a cliff, because it's so fucking gross. I mean, who doesn't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom? Like, ugh, gross. But a lot of celebrities do. Like, there's that one guy, he said, like, he purposefully peed all over his hand so that he could shake Harvey Weinstein's hand. It's like, yeah, that is a good, like, good on him, but at the same time, like, ew. Like, just imagine, like, what did he do after that? Did he find somewhere to wash his hands after that? Or did he continue touching things and touching other people's hands the rest of the night? Like, what's up with that? Wash your fucking hands, you fucking douchebags. Okay. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.